Hi there. Today we're going to explore the plot of the 2025 TV series The Eternaut. One evening, poisonous snow begins to fall from the sky, killing instantly upon even the slightest contact with skin. Those who survive the beginning of the snowfall soon discover that this is only the first phase of an alien invasion. The series opens at sea near Buenos Aires. Three girls are celebrating on a yacht, bidding farewell to one of them who is about to move to another city. Suddenly, the lights of the metropolis in the background go out, and in the now light pollution-free sky, the northern lights appear. The weather rapidly worsens. One of the girls goes below deck to prepare for departure and sees through the window her friends collapse lifeless on the deck as the first snowflake descends from the sky. The story then shifts to the city, where locals are protesting against rolling blackouts. The demonstrations hinder Juan and Polsky from reaching their old friend Favali. On the way, the men mock Omar, Polsky's brother, and order whiskey online. After parking in a garage and briefly watching a news report about a power plant fire, they head to the house where Favali and Lucas are already waiting. The friends gather in the basement to play cards. The atmosphere is tense. They tease Omar, forbidding him to touch the host's belongings or even speak. The guy irritates everyone, but Polsky had promised his wife to look after him. Soon, the whiskey delivery arrives, handed over by the garage security guard. As the drinking continues, the card game becomes more lively, until suddenly the power goes out, and all phones die at the same time. In the darkness, strange sounds are heard outside. Anna, Favali's wife, calls him. The neighbor who brought the whiskey is lying unconscious outside. The men look out the window. It's snowing, which is unusual for this time of year. Because the snow resembles ash, they assume it's due to the power plant fire. Favali wants to help the neighbor, but Anna doesn't let him go out, fearing that poison has been released into the air. Worried about his wife, Polsky asks Omar to call her, but none of the phones, not even the landline, are working. While the guests argue with a frightened Omar, Polsky puts on a jacket and steps outside. He collapses dead after just a few steps. As the rest discuss the nature of the catastrophe, a knock comes from the basement. It's Inga, the delivery courier. She had been fixing her bike in the garage and avoided contact with the poisonous snow. The men head to the office garage where car keys are stored. There's a hole in the roof. Snow has fallen through it. Juan squeezes through, rolls a car up to a window, and drops a ladder across. Wrapped in plastic film to avoid contact with the snow, he retrieves the keys from a locker. But the attempt is in vain. None of the cars will start. Back at the house, surrounded by manuals, they deduce that a powerful electromagnetic pulse has disabled all electronics. The question is, what caused it? In the darkness, Juan spots a light in a nearby house. Using hand gestures, the survivors try to warn the neighbor of the danger, but their efforts have the opposite effect. Trying to hear them better, the man opens a window and dies instantly. His wife follows soon after. Unable to endure the inaction and uncertainty any longer, Juan decides to go to the home of his ex-wife Elena, who lives nearby. His friends assemble a waterproof suit to protect him from the poisonous snow. He puts on a stylish gas mask from Favali's supplies. At the last moment, Omar threatens him with a shotgun and tries to take the suit, but Favali confidently disarms him. At dawn, Juan steps out of the garage onto the freshly fallen snow. He takes the deadly snowflakes into his palm and, realizing that he isn't dying, waves to those who stayed behind in the house. Then he walks down an empty street covered in snow-dusted bodies. Reaching the main road, where the dead protesters lie, he continues deeper into the abandoned city. A flashback begins. Elena returns home, where a residents' meeting about the power outages is taking place in the lobby. She heads upstairs while others watch as the lights go out, and then a repair van crashes into the entrance door. The workers inside suddenly become ill, and a man who approaches the driver also drops dead. Juan walks through the streets, observing numerous corpses. Death took people by surprise in all kinds of places and poses. Looking back, he sees a lone figure behind him, an armed stranger in a protective suit. After signaling his presence, the stranger doesn't approach. Juan runs away. Soon, he reaches a railway where a passenger train stands filled with dead people. In one of the cars, some survivors beg for help. Climbing into a neighboring car, Juan promises to return with help and leaves them a bottle of water. While doing so, he notices that Favali had placed a revolver in his backpack, just in case. Meanwhile, back at Favali's house, The situation becomes more complicated. The host doesn't fully trust the young Omar or the courier Inga. She quietly tries to get close to the shotgun. The girl knows how to handle weapons. She served in the military. Additionally, supplies are running out, even the gas in the pipes. Inga wants to go out for provisions, but Favali decides to go instead. He crafts an improvised mask. When Inga rolls in a bicycle with a generator-powered headlight, Favali realizes that not all devices were disabled by the electromagnetic pulse, only those that were turned on at the time. He finds an old battery and hooks it up to a record player. The device works. Reaching Elena's building, Juan carefully climbs the stairs, brushing snow off the slippery steps. Some residents are breaking down the door of an apartment with water pouring out of it. Others are praying. Amid the chaos, Juan makes his way to his ex-wife's room, where she lives with their daughter Clara. But the apartment is empty. Spotting a looter, Juan attacks him, only to find out it's a misunderstanding. The guy was sent for medicine by Elena herself. From him, Juan learns that during the incident, Clara was at a dinner party at her friend's house. Now she must be found to be saved. Elena wants to go with him, but he reminds her that he only has one gas mask. Outside Juan's door, the building's friendly residents are already waiting, forming a tight circle around him. They want to know how he managed to survive outside, he explains. First, the snow loses its toxic properties after a certain time, and second, its deadly effect only occurs through direct contact with skin. If everything is covered, you can move around safely. One of the neighbors asks to see the gas mask. Realizing where this is going, Juan agrees, but instead of the equipment, he pulls out the pistol. If anyone's afraid to breathe without protection, he says, they can just stop breathing altogether. Threatening them with the weapon, Juan escorts Elena downstairs, but the neighbors continue their pursuit and open fire. Locking themselves inside a second-floor apartment, Juan gives Elena the protective gear. She jumps onto the roof of a van below and escapes, leaving her ex-husband face-to-face with the attackers. While they break down the door, he notices a roll of plastic wrap. As the attackers burst into the apartment, Juan smashes the window and, using the plastic as a helmet, jumps down to the street. The polyethylene shields him from the snow, but it's impossible to breathe inside. He loses consciousness. When he comes to, he finds himself in a narrow trench. Climbing out, he sees an acid trip before fully regaining consciousness. He's inside a car. Juan was picked up by Favali and the others. They obtained firefighting gear thanks to an old car that wasn't packed with fried electronics. Old tech still works. As they return through the dead streets, the group doesn't notice red lights piercing the gloomy sky. Along with the rescued Elena, the survivors return to Favali's house, where they consider what to do next. Juan asks for the car to continue searching for his daughter, but Favali refuses. They try to make contact over the radio, wondering whether they should flee the city. Soon, they spot an armed man outside. Meeting him in the garage, they find out it's Benito, one of the neighbors. He tells them that those who survived in the neighborhood have united and are checking houses for other survivors. Favali, being an individualist, isn't eager to join forces with the neighbors. He hasn't forgotten old grievances. While the conversation continues, Omar steals the car. Driving through the empty city, he gets distracted by the bright lights in the sky, crashes into a shop window, and loses consciousness. Back at the house, Juan and Elena prepare to search for their daughter on foot. Meanwhile, Inga reinforces the bicycle wheels so she can return to her brother. The couple heads into the night, checking cars for ones that still work. When they spot other survivors in a truck, everyone freezes. The rivals recognize the working vehicle and drive off. In the middle of the night, something invisible smashes through the walls of a shopping mall. The sounds are heard even at Favali's house. The survivors interpret the noise as looters fighting. In the morning, they collect batteries from nearby cars to power the garage gates. Their work is interrupted by the arrival of another vehicle. It's Inga, who found another car. She reports that her brother is dead and that she too heard strange noises during the night. Now with a car, the team heads out for supplies. Juan and Lucas return to the fire station, but it has already been looted. They're captured. Once again, it turns out to be the neighbors. They again propose that Favali join them, hinting that otherwise things will end badly. They give him 24 hours to think it over. Meanwhile, Juan and Elena reach the school to find the address of Luna, their daughter's classmate. While Juan searches for a working car, Elena explores the building and finds a boy named Pablo locked in a bathroom stall. His friends had locked him in before they died. Pablo promises to show them where Luna lives if they later take him home. Arriving at the address he gave, the adults go to check the house, leaving Pablo in the car. But he disobeys and shows up just as Juan finds the bodies. They turn out to be Pablo's own deceased relatives. He had lied. Taking the now orphaned boy with them, the couple continues the search. Elena notices that the boy has a fever. Stopping at a pharmacy, they run into a pregnant woman who asks to be let in. Elena allows her inside, but it's a trick. Her boyfriend bursts in after her with a gun. He takes the car keys and locks the couple in the bathroom. While locked in, it's revealed that Juan's old hallucinations have returned, which he suppresses with pills. They are saved by Pablo, who had hidden in time. Together, they head to Favales. On the way, Juan sees a couple with a working utility vehicle. He considers taking it at gunpoint, but after seeing their child, abandons the idea. Finally, the group comes across scattered belongings and a hole in the fence. Crawling through it, they emerge onto the tracks, where an electric train is standing. Juan has been here before, but now the train cars are smashed by an invisible force, and the interior looks as if it has been affected by acid. And what's most strange, there's no trace left of the dead. Returning to Favale, they learn that the survivors have decided to move to an island, far away from looters. Juan doesn't like this idea. He wants to find his daughter first, though the owner doesn't believe she's still alive. At night, the looters from the pharmacy are draining gasoline at the gas station. Hearing rustling in the darkness, the boy goes to check and disappears without a trace. Meanwhile, the girl who was waiting in the car is attacked by something invisible, and the car is thrown into a ditch. In the morning, after burying the Polskis, the men split up. Lucas and Favale go for supplies, while Juan heads to the city to find Luna's house. He found her address in the phone directory, which Anna had thrown into the trash not long before everything happened. On the way, a car catches up to him. It's Favale, who, after learning that his friend went alone, decided to join him. The journey, brightened by talks about the Earth's broken magnetic field, ends at a wall of piled-up cars, which reliably blocks the way out of the city. Juan climbs this man-made obstacle, looking for a working car, guided by the headlights that are on. As soon as he confirms that the ignition key is in place, Favale calls him back. A convoy is approaching them. It turns out to be the military. The sergeant warns the civilians that help is close, but the way out of the city is restricted. As the soldiers move on, the friends follow at a safe distance. After passing through a tunnel, they see that the soldiers have stopped, but they're not shooting at civilians. They're shooting at creatures above. These are giant bugs that attack the soldiers and wrap them in cocoons of webbing. Trying to escape, Juan's car flips over, and he once again falls into hallucinations. After crashing through a tire repair shop's gates, Favale pulls his friend out, and they flee to the roof of the building, escaping from the invaders. Regaining his senses, Juan looks around. The invaders are gone, and all that's left of the soldiers is scattered gear. Descending and arming themselves with abandoned rifles, the partners continue on. In the square, they see strange structures built by the bugs from makeshift materials. Seeing how a monster drags a person away, they follow it, but accidentally reveal themselves. Juan takes a shot to the head, killing the invader, but others are crawling toward them. The survivors are forced to flee. On their way, they meet a man who gestures to show them the way to a church. Inside, a group of people who survived the acid snowfall has barricaded themselves. They throw Molotov cocktails at the bugs, helping Juan and Favale fend off the attackers. It turns out that among those hiding in the temple is Omar. The people explain to the newcomers that the bugs came from space. As proof, they lead them to a chapel, from where there's a panoramic view of the city. The sky is streaked with fiery traces of falling meteorites. Realizing that this is a full-scale invasion, Favale rushes to go home, but a pious nun stops him. The newcomers stay in the shelter for the night. In the evening, the children return, having searched the rooftops for supplies. Omar asks Juan for help. There's an abandoned tunnel under the protective wall that can be used to escape, but support is needed. It also turns out that Juan is a combat veteran. His one-legged comrade from service, whom Juan didn't recognize at first, identifies him. Later, Juan admits that after the war he's been tormented by hallucinations. He wants to sneak away to find his daughter, but seeing the fiery glow of the spaceship's landings and the army of bugs from the roof, he realizes he can't do it alone. Juan returns to the church with an offer to help. On the wall, there's a working car that they can use to escape. The survivors are packing their things for evacuation. Only a few veterans and a nun remain, unwilling to slow down the group's progress. Before dawn, the group sets off from the shelter towards the wall. Upon reaching an overturned bus, the pedestrians cram inside, and the volunteers begin to break through the sealed wall, trying not to make too much noise to avoid attracting the attention of the insects. They almost finish the work when one of the women's babies starts crying. Despite this, most of the survivors manage to reach the tunnel, but the mother with cover is left behind. The insects surround the bus and start stripping its body. The defenders prepare for the last fight, but unexpectedly, the sound of the morning bell distracts the bugs. They rush toward the source of the noise, unaware that those who stayed in the church had spilled fuel and set a trap. When the bugs break into the temple, the people throw a lit cigarette into the puddle. On the other side of the barricade, Juan starts the pickup truck raised onto the upper platform. When trying to descend, the vehicle gets stuck, and the situation is made worse by a giant bug that grabs Favali. The cockroach is driven away with a smoke grenade. The people get into the pickup, load the wounded, and firing back, escape. In the rearview mirror, they see a column of smoke. The church that was their shelter just yesterday is now on fire. Reaching the area where Favali lived, Juan and Omar, who joined them, get out of the vehicle. The other refugees head to the Campo de Mayo military camp, which the soldiers had told them about. The neighbors have already organized armed security for the area, but the most important thing for Favali is that his daughter Clara has found her way to her godfather, where her father used to play cards every Friday. The survivors plan to head to the sea and then swim to the island where Favali has a house. But he is uneasy because Clara arrived wearing a diving mask from his yacht. She was with her friends at the beginning of the series. When the neighbors gather to discuss tactics considering the invasion of the alien bugs, Favali trades his house and garage for a house on wheels just to get away, even though it's hard for him to leave behind his possessions. After gathering supplies, Favali and his guests set off by bus and car. Along the way, they narrowly avoid a traffic accident, but they're lucky. Upon arriving at the pier, the refugees learn some bad news. The sea has disappeared, revealing a shallow seabed. Therefore, they cannot get to the island. However, it's interesting that the fish in the bucket of the dead fishermen were not harmed by the poisonous snow. It's decided they will go to Campo de Mayo. Favali checks the boat one last time. As he suspected, the yacht is gone. The man realizes that Clara took it. On the way, they pass by a car that nearly crashed into them during the day. All its passengers have been shot. From Clara, they learn that she doesn't remember how she got to them or where the diving mask came from. Upon arriving at the shopping mall, the refugees see many people, but no one is fighting for food. Among the crowd are some familiar faces from the church, who show them how everything is organized here. Despite the atmosphere of mutual aid, Juan warns to stay vigilant. Although everything seems to be improving, Juan cannot shake the irrational sense of danger. He shares his doubts with Lucas, but Lucas thinks it's just stress and paranoia. During dinner, Clara is approached by Timmy, a boy with facial nerve paralysis. After talking to him, Clara begins to have a seizure. At night, Lucas heads to the warehouse in search of his favorite whiskey. After finding a bottle, he notices suspicious movement near the loading area. In the morning, Juan is woken up by commotion. The refugees are excited. Overnight, the sky has cleared and the poisonous snow has stopped. Pablo is the first to take the risk. He has nothing left to lose. When nothing happens to him, the others joyfully step onto the white snow. However, Lucas has disappeared. Only the whiskey bottle lies near the warehouse. While his friends search for him, a car pulls into the parking lot in front of the center. 3 people get out and open fire on the unarmed crowd. Favali and Juan run toward the sound of gunfire to fight back. Thanks to his army training, Juan quickly neutralizes one of the shooters. Taking advantage of the moment, he eliminates the second as well. In the shootout, Mickey is also injured. Meanwhile, army trucks arrive. Among the passengers is Lucas. According to him, after drinking a good amount of whiskey, he found himself in the middle of the highway, where the military picked him up. He doesn't remember exactly how it happened. The soldiers have arrived to evacuate the survivors to Campo de Mayo. While everyone heads there, the last of the shooters descends into the underground tunnel, where the alien bugs are hiding. They part before him, forming a path. Juan continues to suffer from blackouts and vivid hallucinations, which worries Favali. He asks his friend to talk to his wife. She's a doctor and works at the camp. There, civilians are being taught how to shoot, Since the alien enemy doesn't distinguish between combatants and non-combatants, everyone will have to fight. Favali approaches the base commander with a proposal for a sortie into the city. The goal is to reach the relay tower and broadcast a radio signal across the country. His skills as an electronics engineer will come in handy for repairing the transmitter. But Favali hesitates. Returning to a dangerous place and breaking through barricades with a locomotive is not something he's eager to do. His friends are burning with the desire to fight, while he considers unpaid altruism a sign of mild stupidity. Later, new refugees arrive at the base, among them neighbors from the district. They report that the aliens have destroyed the neighborhood and killed nearly everyone. Suffering from insomnia, Juan goes out for a walk. Two men catch up with him and ask him to convince Favali. One of them is a train engineer who will drive the locomotive through the barricade. In the morning, while the church kids remember the deceased Timmy, a mixed detachment of soldiers and volunteers sets off on the mission. Favali decides to go with them after all. Reaching the river by boat and arriving at the bridge, the unit steps onto the railway tracks and heads toward the depot. Along the way, they spot 3 airplanes flying overhead on their mission, a sight that gives them hope. At the depot, the soldiers reinforce the train, welding metal beams, cladding it with armor plates, and installing machine guns. Once preparations are complete, the mechanism is started, and the armored train sets off into the bright future. Halfway through, the train stops to drop off a unit tasked with maintaining communication with the base. Then the Iron Beast picks up speed. Ahead lies a pile of cars thrown together in disorder. The fighters in the carriage prepare for impact, hoping for success. The train crashes full speed into the barricade and breaks through it completely. The team rejoices, but at the checkpoint the train stops. The fuel tank is damaged. Only about 200 meters remain to the target. Passing the wreckage of one of those planes, the squad proceeds toward the building. Favali is surprised. Where are all the aliens, and why aren't they attacking? In the high-rise there are traces of human presence, but no people, nor signs of panic or a hasty departure. While part of the squad inspects the plane, the rest prepare the equipment. It turns out the plane is Peruvian, and its bombing target was a nearby stadium. However, the plane didn't make it. The scouts are distracted by the appearance of a small, sullen boy. With him are dozens of other survivors, all under alien control. In the evening, the radio operator transmits the first message via radio. It is picked up in Campo de Mayo, where they launch a red flare. The intermediate unit relays the signal further, and the scouts respond joyfully. But at dusk, the soldiers' attention is drawn to a blue glow coming from the nearby stadium. Juan suggests to the commander to send a scouting team to the stadium, but the commander decides against it. They have their own mission. To lighten the evening mood, the friends play cards, inviting Omar as the 4th player. During the game, he beats Lucas, which unexpectedly causes a burst of rage in him. The man lunges at his comrade. Lucas flees, and Juan follows him, leaving Favali with his injury. Juan finds Lucas on the edge of a balcony. He is staring at the alien glow in the distance. Attempts to reason with his friend, even with Favali arriving in time, are in vain. Lucas, who was once afraid to parachute, jumps down without one. Below, crowds of people with flashlights can be seen heading toward the building where the soldiers are holed up. The checkpoint has already been cleared. Mind-controlled loners appear nearby. Juan, Favali, and Omar remain the only ones with clear minds, so they must hide in the high-rise, evading their pursuers. Realizing there's nothing left to do in the city, the trio returns to the locomotive to use the auxiliary engine to get back to the base. The train engineer, who hasn't been overtaken by the aliens' followers, quickly takes off, shooting at the most persistent pursuers. On the way, Juan decides to take advantage of the opportunity and investigate what's happening at the stadium. He wants to go alone, but the engineer unexpectedly volunteers to accompany him. They quickly instruct Favali on how to operate the engine. Hearing gunfire nearby, they head toward the sound, hoping to find their comrades. But the situation turns out to be far worse. The mind-controlled are teaching each other how to shoot, to more effectively exterminate humans. Various groups set off in trucks to patrol city districts. To get a better view of what's happening at the stadium, Juan suggests climbing a nearby unfinished building. But as soon as they arrive there, Juan is overcome by new visions. He realizes these are not premonitions, but memories of what he has already seen. From their vantage point, the men see the source of the blue glow, a cosmic musician with many fingered limbs playing hypnotic music that subjugates the mind. People, with empty stares, stand like robots. Suddenly, Juan remembers his daughter and realizes she is also a sleeper agent of the enemy, currently at the human base. And on that horrifying realization, the first season ends. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this recap, give it a like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.